Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start by introducing ourselves. So Andrea and Christina. Andrea, if you want to go first.
Yeah, so hello everybody, pleasure to be here today. I'm Andrea Ballista, I'm co-founder and CEO of Revoiceit. My professional background starts from, let's say, computer music in the late 80s at the beginning of the 90s with a passion. Then I founded a company in 1994 that was primarily, say, localizing games. We grew the company until 2014. And then we basically sold the company to Keyboard Studios PLC. I was audio director there for kind of 4 years. And then at the beginning of 2020, together with Lorenzo and Luca, we have been funding, let's say, Revoiceit as a new adventure, seeing that the things were changing. So a lot of passion for music, audio, and of course, voice, of course. So please.
Yes, hello, hi everyone, and thanks for being here. My name is Cristina Contini, and I've been working in the localization industry for more than 15 years now, and I have covered different positions, and so I had the possibility to get a good look at the audiovisual localization world from different perspectives. So I worked as a translator, as a project manager, and I handled translation and recording of big localization projects in different languages. And then a couple of years ago, I joined Revoiceit, and where I covered the role of voice manager. So basically, I act as a bridge between clients and our tech team. So I interact with clients, give demos, and then gather feedbacks, requirements, suggestions, and then share with the tech team. Porrick.
Thanks, Christina. So I am Porrick Sheridan. Thanks everybody for being here today. I am the Chief Strategy Officer at Revoiceit. I've been working in AI and language technology for probably over 30 years at this point. I joined Revoiceit last September. Prior to joining Revoiceit, I had spent the previous probably dozen years immersed in machine translation technology. So I had co-founded Iconic Translation Machines and served as chairman of the board there up until 2020 when we sold to RWS. I guess I joined Revoiceit partly because I really believe that speech is the next frontier of human-computer interaction. I think we're going to see a massive growth in audio and video content for localization. And the other interesting observation I would make is that it seems to me that there are many similarities between where voice technology is today and where machine translation technology was about 15 or 20 years ago in terms of adoption. So you may see some of those parallels as we go through the webinar today. But I do think there's massive growth for multilingual voice technologies in the localization industry. So let me give you a little bit of context and sort of organization of how the webinar is going to go today over the next 55 minutes or so. Essentially, we're going to break the webinar into two distinct parts. So we're not going to assume any expertise or even any knowledge in audio, video localization or VO dubbing. So in the first half, we're going to look at, from an entry level, what is VO dubbing? What are the advantages? How has it been done traditionally? And then from that, where we believe the new opportunities lie based on AI technologies. So, and we'll try to tailor that discussion, bearing in mind that our audience is LSPs and language professionals. And then the second half of the webinar, we'll dive into a dubbing project and how that looks using the Revoiceit platform with AI voices and demonstrate the sort of workflow of how that would work. Bearing in mind, again, how an LSP might use a platform like Revoiceit with AI voices to do dubbing or VO dubbing work. So as Isabella has said, we will leave plenty of time at the end for discussion and question and answers. Please do put your questions into the Q&A box. I'll try to monitor that as we go through the webinar. And if there are questions that we can answer as we go in the flow, we'll do that. And then there may be some other questions that we save for the end, either to answer or to have a more sort of elaborate discussion around, if that's okay. Okay, so with that introduction out of the way, let's dive in. Let's start with the fact that, okay, the title of the webinar refers to VO dubbing. So Andrea, maybe with your background in audio and the work that you've done before, let's get an introduction to what exactly is VO dubbing and why it's interesting.
Yeah, so thank you, Brian. So let's say, let's try to find out a way to be effective. And so voice is, first of all, a very important medium to convey expressive content in any language, any culture. So voice is kind of help to communicate and to help to communicate brands and publisher to their audience, they're usually multilingual audience since it's global, okay, messages about brands and IPs. So the usual thing is that sometimes the solution is go with the dubbing, sometimes with subtitling. Subtitling basically means to, let's say, create a text description that is timed and is going to the flow of the video. Of course, the user in that perspective just listen to the original, okay, voice and can read the text on time. Then, of course, the platform you see today is not a subtitling platform. It is basically going to VO and voice specifically. In the world of dubbing, we definitely need to have a kind of differentiation, since one thing is the dubbing of the movies and the TV and TV shows. The other thing is the VO dubbing. So a voice that is describing what is going on in the action. It can be a documentary. It can be basically a kind of interviews that you can hear the original, and on top of it, you can hear, let's say, the voice in your language. So that's basically a very, very, say, a high level overview, but narrative content that is explaining what is happening on the screen. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense, that the difference between subtitling and voiceover dubbing, where you've overlaid a new foreign language voice on top of the original. And I guess one of the challenges with voiceover dubbing versus full dubbing, where you replace the original voice, is the challenge of lip syncing. Maybe you can touch a little bit on that topic.
Yeah, definitely all the movies and all the TV shows has a very, let's say, a complete substitution of the voice. That is when the camera is pointing at the one actor. Basically, there's a lot of work. It's not just the voice. You need to translate, you need to adapt. And you need to also adapt not for the time, but for the lip syncing movement. So the flip and flap and has to be synchronized properly. So we are not talking about this today. We are just doing simple narrative VO that can describe things and help the user to have a good understanding in their native language. Yeah.
Okay, so just to clarify to the audience, we're not going so far as to doing lip syncing in our tool. There are some tools, new AI, generative AI tools that have shown lip syncing on videos as a demonstration, but we're focusing more on the professional content where we're not going as far as lip syncing in the videos. So the other thing that you talked about as you were going through the introduction there is the different kinds of content and how you take different approaches for different kinds of content. Christina, maybe you can elaborate a little bit on the kinds of content that we're finding particularly amenable to using tools like Revoiceit and AI voices.
Yes, well, the first type of content that pops into my mind is corporate content. And when I say corporate content, I'm referring specifically to, for example, marketing videos for social medias or YouTube channels or company websites. Or then, for example, product demos. So, for example, videos showcasing services or products. Or then we can also refer to e-learning videos, training videos, or tutorials or how-to videos. And so, as you can see, within all of these forms of content, there is a key component, whether it be the product name or the company name or the service name. that demands a very precise pronunciation, as it also embodies the essence of the company's image. So it's extremely important. And this is precisely where Revoiceit stands out, as it also offers a very distinctive feature of our platform, that is the ability to modify and also to oversee the pronunciation of foreign terms, of acronyms, or also of coined expressions or coined names in the target language. And then we will go deeper into details on the pronunciation during the demo. And then another type of content is related to the media and entertainment market. And in this case, we are referring to content with narrative style. So the perfect fit, as also Andrea was mentioning at the beginning, will be documentaries. And again, the pronunciation in this branch is also extremely important, because just think about names of people, names of places, just to mention a couple of examples. And then another perfect fit are podcasts, which are very popular and also cover a great variety of topics. And in this specific case of podcasts, they are also strictly linked with the podcaster, so with the author and the speaker of the podcast. And in this specific case, another option could also be to have the same voice, so the voice of the author delivering the podcast into other languages. And this is something that those new technologies can also allow to. And this could also broaden the target audience of the podcast. This also opens up also another topic, which is also voice cloning. And we will delve deeper into voice cloning then when I will do the demo later on. But just to say a few words, it is also very important to stress also the ethical and legal boundaries. Voice cloning, this is something that we really like to stress on.
Sure. I think we'll come back to the question of the different kinds of cloned voices versus synthetic voices and some of the ethical questions around that towards the end when we see it in the demo.
Yeah.
The one thing that strikes me in listening to you talking through the content, the whole category of corporate content, corporate audio visual content, is something that LSPs are used to dealing with corporate content to a large degree already for translation and localization purposes. So we're just sort of adding in the dubbing step to that. But the other thing that strikes me about that is that that's a kind of content that traditionally, I'm sure, probably would never see dubbing because of the costs and time and complexity involved. So if I come back to you, Andrea, I mean, it strikes me that this is opening up sort of access to vast quantities of content that traditionally have not been dubbed or have not been provided in foreign language, that now is possible using AI voices.
Yeah, so what we have seen in the recent years, and even more after ChatGPT was launched, is that anyway, the volume of content that is being created and needs to be distributed globally is really increasing a lot, while translation has found kind of solution of that. For the voice, we are still at the beginning of the process, as I said, correct? So the idea that is behind Voiceit is to voice it as unvoiced, so to let the user hear the voice content in their native languages so they can enjoy and have a better experience in watching a training or learning or any kind of social things. But that's Voiceit, and Voiceit it's a very, very big core of what we are doing. Exactly. Yeah.
I like the voicing the unvoiced tagline. So coming back to how dubbing traditionally has been done and why we think there are new opportunities around this. And again, this is an area you've worked in, Andrea, for many years. Can you talk us through this sort of traditional approach to dubbing and what is involved with that?
Absolutely. Since let's say that the traditional approaches remain basically unchanged for a lot of time, since you have a script, you have a studio, you have actors, you have sound engineers, directors, and you go through the studio. The main stakeholders, okay, are usually brands and publishers that have the need to communicate. And of course, this is going through the language service providers that are helping brands and publishers to propagate internationally the message. In some cases, LSPs and internal studios, in some other, they not. So they need to rely on external studios, and of course, local actors communities. And one of the things that is basically defining the way and the approach is that you have multilingual approach for audio means that you have studios in different territories and you are really in a good contact with the local communities. Of course, this takes a lot of time, has a huge complexity in terms of resources, and of course cost, since a studio means infrastructure, is heavily territory based, and especially in case of rework, adjustment, fix it, approval cycle is very costly, since you really need to go back to the studio to do one little line, one little things, and this is becoming, let's say, most of the time not feasible. This is why most of the cases, in case possible, go to the, say, subtitling solution or leave the content as is. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that definitely has been done before and can be improved with virtualization of the process. Yeah.
Sure, sure. And just thinking about the traditional, I mean, the role of actors in dubbing, I know there has been a certain amount of, let's say, concern around voice actors in general about the approach of AI and how that might impact on their roles to date. But it strikes me the conversation we had earlier around voicing the unvoiced and getting into content that traditionally would never go near dubbing, like corporate content, advertising videos, podcasts, is not so much impacting on the role of actors. More so, it's opening up a new space of opportunities for new content.
Yeah, so everybody, of course, in the recent years and even more after ChatGPT is kind of trying to understand, and then what? Since it's been really a game changer, and also the actor community are really becoming much more sensible to all the usage of the content that is recorded. Of course, at the same time, the content is increasing. Actors in studio are not scalable, and we need to keep the user into the equation. So the user enjoy to have and to see delivered content in their own languages, since it's really more engaging than reading a text. So this is where we are aiming through, and this is why the voice and unvoiced is, yeah.
So looking towards a scalable solution using AI technology, if it's a new approach, moving away from the studios, and the tagline for Revoiceit is that it is a virtual studio for AI voices. Christina, how do you envisage then, I mean, we're presenting to a group of LSPs and language professionals through Gala, how do you envisage the new workflow using these tools going forward?
Well, we have identified, let's say, two types of profiles that could be working on the platform. So one profile is the project manager or asset manager that collects the assets received from the clients, organize them, and then they can upload those assets into the platform. And then the linguists, translators that can generate the audio in their native language within the platform. And so let's say that we envision a kind of new and expanded roles and also skill set for linguists and translators, because Revoiceit kind of enables linguists to engage directly in audio projects simply by providing essential features that leverage linguistic skills rather than audio skills. So this feature, and then I will show you them later during the demo, but this feature allowed the user to work on pronunciation, on prosody, and on reading pace. And these three elements, as you can imagine, enhance the natural flow of speech, and linguists or native speakers have the exact expertise to ensure that the lines sound authentic in the end. And let me also underline that a crucial element that we consider paramount is the human in the loop, which is very important also to stress. Yeah. And it's good to emphasize the importance also of the human engagement in achieving also an optimal and curated result on the audio content.
Yeah, this is important since basically we are approaching a B2B landscape in which the result has to be, anyway, professional. So we need to deliver to clients, brands, and publisher real great quality. So it's not just take it as it is. It's not a black box. We need to have control on how we express the media, okay, to the audience. This is paramount for me, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, Christina, about linguists or language professionals taking on, possibly new skills related to audio review and quality assessment, one of the impacts or effects of generative AI coming onto the scene in the past year has been discussions around new skill sets and opportunities. I think a lot of that has focused on things like prompt engineering and using those tools, but you're suggesting that reviewing audio output that's automatically generated and fine-tuning pronunciation or listening to prosody is a step or a skill that can be developed in moving into dubbing with AI voices.
Yeah, exactly. And then we will have a deeper look into this during the demo.
Sure, perfect. We can come back to that. Okay. So speaking of the demo, I think we're doing well on time. I had aimed to be transitioning at around 25 past, so we're just about there. So while you set up sharing your screen and doing the demo, is there anything else, Christina or Andrea, that you wanted to add to the discussion so far, or have we covered what we aim to do at this first half of the webinar?
Just adding the fact that what you see is a cloud-based environment, okay, that put the people and skills more closer to jointly deliver something. And this is automatically redefine the professional skills. And this is what we were talking about, especially Christina. Yes, of course.
So I've shared my screen. So if you don't want to add anything now, I can move to the demo. If you want to add something, Porek or Andrea.
Off you go. It's all yours.
Okay, it's all yours. It's all mine. So let me introduce you to Revoiceit. I will walk you through a quick demo of the platform. So let's start with the general overview. So Revoiceit is a cloud-based platform. So everything is based on the cloud. So you don't have to install anything on your computer. Revoiceit is also a multi-user platform. So the standard version comes with 32 seats. So it's a collaborative platform where you can invite other users inside the platform and assign them to different projects so that they can work, for example, on their language and generate the audio. We usually create a workspace for each of our clients. So a workspace is kind of safe environment where each client can store their projects and work on them. And Revoiceit is made of 3 different areas, and just want to go quickly through all 3 of them. So we have a production area where you can create your audio content, so you can generate the audio simply starting from text without relying on any audio asset. Then we have the dubbing area where you can dub your content, either single lines or audio and video files. And I will show you later during the demo how to dub a video. And then we have the voices area. Here is where you can find the library voices, since our narrative models rely on library voices. Currently, the platform has 12 library voices, 6 female and 6 male voices with different age ranges and timbre and color of the voice. And the number of voices will be ranked up quickly. And the library voices are available throughout all workspaces. So all clients that have a workspace in Revoiceit can access those library voices. But we've also included the possibility to customize, to expand the type of voices that a client can use in their project. And we have the possibility to create cloned voices and branded voices. So cloned voices are voices that rely on a specific talent voice. So for example, if one of your final clients asks you to use a specific talent voice throughout all the target languages, we can create a model with that voice, and that voice will be able to speak all the target language of the platform. This is because this is a key feature of all our voices, so the possibility to speak all the target languages. And this is because our models are multilingual models, so all voices in the platform can speak all the target languages. Another type of voice that we can create and customize for the clients are the so-called branded voices. And the difference with the cloned voices is that branded voices do not rely on any specific talent voice or on any human voice. They are fully synthesized, and we simply need a brief with the features, so with a description of the voice that you are looking for. So, for example, a male voice or a female voice, that specific age range and so on, and maybe also a couple of audio files with the voice that you are looking for. And then we create a fully synthesized voice that will be available to you only in your workspace. So this was just to give you an overview of the areas of the available in Revoiceit.
Can I just add something there,
yeah,
Christina, which is
sure.
because you were mentioning earlier in the overview about ethics, and I think it was related to voices, and I think it's
Yeah.
important because there is a wider discussion happening about the ethics of artificial voices and synthetic voices. So let's draw the distinction between our library voices and branded voices, which are entirely synthetic,
Yeah.
which means that they're generated from scratch and not copying any actor's voices. They're completely artificial voices, although they sound real and natural. And the only voices that are copied from an individual are the cloned voices. But then we only do that where we have permission and participation of the talent whose voice is being used. I think that's important because there is a wider discussion around the ethics of artificial voices, because in some cases, actors have found their voices copied without their knowledge and used in systems like these. But in this case, the library voices and the brand voices are entirely synthetic and not copied from human voices.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to clarify that.
No, it was really important. So let's go now into the demo. And before delving into it, I'm going to show you what we are going to dub today. And so from here, let me show you what we have now. So we will be dubbing a video. So let me show you the video that is going to be dubbed. So since the next Gala conference is taking place in Valencia, we have decided to have a video describing the city of Valencia. So this is the video that you're going to listen to.
Now your eyes will see as if for the first time, and you'll feel things for the first time constantly. Now the red carpet is getting rolled out.
Okay, and these are the scripts that I will be uploading. So just to show you one, it's an English video that we will be dubbing into French and German. So as you can see, it's a Word document, plain text without any information regarding the speaker and the time codes inside the script. So let's start working on it. And before delving into the project itself, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a project and start working on it. So since we were mentioning the roles that are involved into the platform, this first step, so the asset ingestion and then the casting, is something that usually is part of the project manager or asset manager role. So let's create now a new project. So simply we click on new project, then let's say we give the project a name. Let's say Demo Gala, then we pick the source language among the source languages in the platform, and then the target languages. In this case, as I was mentioning, we will have French and German, and then we pick the model types. Then there is an optional action. You can upload if you want to a thumbnail, otherwise you can skip this step. And then we create now the project. This is the project card, so the structure of the project. And then we go inside the project, and here we can upload the asset. And as I was mentioning, we can work on single lines or on audio video, and we will show you how to dub a video. So let's start the asset ingestion. So the first thing that you need to upload is the source video or the audio extracted from the video without any limit on the duration. So let's start uploading the video here. Let's go here, and we have it. Then we have the speaker. Then we have the action that we can do on the audio. So we can decide whether to clean the audio, so to remove the music and effects from the video. And then we need to enter the number of speaker, and then the system will do automatically the diarization. And then we go to the next step, which is the upload of the source text. And as you can see, this is another optional action. So if you have the source text, you can upload it. Otherwise, the system will do the transcription automatically. And these are the the format of files that you can upload. So you can upload TXT, doc files, and SRT files. So let's upload files here. We have English. And then we continue, and then we need to upload the translation because the system itself doesn't deal with translation. So you need to carry out the translation outside of the platform and then upload the translation during the asset ingestion. So we will be uploading the German script and then the French script. And here we are. And then final step, you give the batch a name. So call it Video Valencia. And then you create the batch. And then this is all the part of the asset ingestion step, and these are all the tasks that project manager can do. Then let me switch to the other project that I have already uploaded here. So the first thing that you need to do is to assign a voice to the speaker that are available in the platform. So you go into the casting, and then from here you have the one line and then a sample of the audio. From here you can change, you can edit the character name and give the name that you prefer. And here you access the library voices where you can listen to the source, to the library voices, and then pick the one that you prefer for your speaker. And then this is where the project manager task ends and starts the job of the language specialist, of the linguist. So we go into the preview, and this is how the preview looks like. And so here we have the target languages associated to the platform. And this is the preview page where we have a line ID that is created by the system, the character, and then the source text and target text that are automatically split into different segments by the system. The source text and the audio that was part of the source audio, so the original one. And here we have the target text, and we will listen to the different target audios that are generated by the platform. And here,
so Christina, can I just jump in there? So the last step you did was, before you got to this screen, after you uploaded the video, you did a casting step, which was to go back to the library and choose one of the voices to use for this video. And you said earlier that whichever voice you choose, it speaks all of the languages. So if you're doing French and German, it'll be the same voice for both versions of the video.
For both versions.
And then on this page, when you get here, the system has already generated that voice for the French and German for all of these lines in the text. Okay. Thank you.
And here at the bottom, we have the video that we have uploaded, and then the source audio track. And here at the bottom, we have the target track that are populated with the segments that are generated line by line. So before delving into the feature of the platform, I'm going to play a few lines, and then we're going to stop into one and then play with the features that are available into the platform. So let's start with a few lines.
Maintenant, vous verrez les choses sous un angle différent. Et vous ressentirez des choses que vous n'avez jamais ressenties, constamment. Maintenant, le tapis des stars va être déroulé, pour vous. Pour vous ravir, pour vous étonner, pour que vous osiez. Laissez-vous emporter par l'enthousiasme d'une conférence gala inoubliable à Valence.
Okay, let's stop here in this sentence. So, as I was mentioning at the beginning, we can work on different elements. So we can work on text and pronunciation, we can work on the reading pace, and we can work on achieving different processes. So let's start with the first one. So here we can go into the text editor, and in the text editor, we can rephrase the text as we prefer for adaptation reasons, for example, and then generate a new line based on the new target text. And then we can work on the pronunciation. And here we have 3 different options for pronunciation, and each of them is very useful to to address different needs. So for example, the pronounce as button is very useful, for example, if you have acronyms or made up terms, so you can simply highlight them into the target text, and in this box you can manually enter how you want that word to be pronounced in that language. Then we have another option is the custom phonemization, and again you can highlight the word, and then in the custom phonemization you select the pronunciation language and you can copy and paste the IPA symbols from a dictionary and paste them here in this box. So you can really fine-tune the pronunciation of a term with the IPA symbols. And then the last one, let's say here, is to use the aided phonemization languages, and this is what I'm going to show you here. So let's say that instead of Valence, we want to give a special Spanish twist to the line, and we want to use, for example, Valencia with a Spanish accent. So we change the text, highlight the term that we want to tweak the pronunciation to, and then from here we go under custom phonemization. So we select Spanish, so the text will be phonemized in Spanish, and then we can also choose whether we want to keep the French accent to that term, or if you want to use also the Spanish accent. So let's go Spanish, and then you can see here, if I hover over with the mouse, we see that the text will be phonemized and then pronounced in Spanish. Then we can click on the preview in order to get an audio preview, so we can listen to the new generated sentence and see if you're happy with the result, and if so, we can then save that line into the project. And let me just, so while we're on the inference, let me just show you here that under show SSML, we have the SSML tags. So we have the sentence with the tag for the changed phonemization and pronunciation, but especially useful is this sub here, the phonemization, where the same sentence has been rephrased with the IPA symbols so that you can use them and copy and paste them into the box that I showed you before in case you need to tweak accent, vowel sound, and so on. So let's listen to the new generated sentence.
Laissez-vous emporter par l'enthousiasme d'une conférence gala inoubliable à Valencia.
So we have the Spanish twist. So Valencia has been pronounced with the correct Spanish pronunciation. We are fine, and we can save that line into the project. So one final word regarding the pronunciation. We can tweak the pronunciation either line by line, but if we have terms with multiple instances in our project, we can easily work on a project glossary. So we move out of the project and we go under the glossary. And here, this is a pronunciation glossary that works at project level. So we can simply add a term which has multiple instances in the project, and then we can select the same pronunciation options that are available in the text editor, and this pronunciation will be set once and then used throughout the project, not only in the batch that we're working on now, but also in future batches that we may be uploading. So this was as far as text and pronunciation were concerned. Now, if we want to twist the reading pace, so we can change how much fast or slow a sentence can be delivered. So in this case, if maybe the sentence was a bit too fast, we can decide to slow down a little bit the reading pace. So we can enter a positive number, so let's say it will be, in this case, the sentence will be delivered by 7% slower compared to the previous one. So we can simply save, and then we can listen to the new generated sentence.
Laissez-vous emporter par l'enthousiasme d'une conférence gala inoubliable à Valencia.
It's a little bit slower compared to the previous one, and we can play with plus minus 30% on the reading pace. And then one last thing that we can do on the on each line is to work on the prosody. So we can generate different takes simply by clicking on the generate alternative takes, and we can generate as many takes as we want, and the system will suggest in us different prosody. So for example, emphasizing different words into the sentence, or having different pauses into the same sentence. And then by clicking on the show multiple takes, we can listen to the different takes that we have generated, and then pick the one that we prefer to save it into the project. So we have worked now line by line, and then we can go into the timeline here where we have all our segments. So at the end, when we are happy with the pronunciation and with the naturalness of each single line, we can expand here the video, and we can concentrate and focus on the audio part. So we can listen to the entire target track simply by clicking the play button.
Maintenant, vous verrez les choses sous un angle différent. Et vous ressentirez des choses que vous n'avez jamais ressenties.
So on and so forth for all the video, and we can move segments. So in case we want to change the pauses between one segment and the other, we can move the target sentence into the timeline. The changes will be saved in the timeline, and you can listen then to the new one. And then when you are happy and satisfied with the result, with the overall result, you can then approve the lines and then export them from the platform, and you can export them both as single audio files, so one WAV file per each line of the script, and also the entire target track with all the things that you have done, and also the as recorded script with all the changes that you did to the translation, so to the target text, and also to the pronunciation. So this was just to give a quick overview. Very, very quick overview of the platform.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you, Christina. So there was one question in the chat while you were going through.
Yes.
You showed a fairly simple case. It's a video with one speaker.
Yes.
And the question was, if there are more than one speaker, the system will automatically generate a script with diarized speaker, and then you can assign different voices to different characters in the platform.
Yeah, exactly. And here in the timeline, you will also see one track per each speaker. So you will have narrator 1 with their segments, narrator 2 with their segments, and then you will export the target audio with the correct order of those segments into the timeline.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So there are a couple of questions in the Q&A. So if anybody else has questions, please do pop them into the Q&A. And we can start now working through some of the questions that are there and discussion points. So the first question was, can we generate dubbing without scripts?
Well, right now, we cannot generate dubbing without scripts. So we need to have well, not the source, simply we can have the video or the audio as is. So we can skip, so it's optional, the source one. So you can work without having the source script, but you need to have translations.
Okay, yes.
So
just to elaborate on that. So if you started with just the video, the process would be to upload the video, have it transcribed by the system, and then download the transcript as the English or the source script, have it translated because the system is not doing the translation piece, and then upload the translations together with the script that the system transcribed. And then you can use those together to dub the video with the artificial voices. Okay. And then the next question was, can the platform exactly match the source and translated text if the text, it doesn't line up exactly the same?
When you can also upload different formats. So for example, you can upload a TXT as source text and then a doc file or an SRT as target text. The segmentation is done automatically by the system. So there will be a correspondence between source segments and target segments, even though, for example, there is one single sentence in the source and then you use 2 sentences into the target. So you have merged 2 different segments into the target. This system will automatically split the text in the correct way. Okay, perfect. And then there was a question about languages. You might touch on which languages are supported, and the particular question was around language variants, so Spanish, Argentinian, different variants of language. Yeah, well, currently in the platform regarding Spanish, we have Iberian Spanish. We will be including Latin American Spanish soon into the platform, but right now we are focusing more on more general languages, so such specific language variants may be added at a later stage, but are not currently in the pipeline in next few months.
Okay, so right now there are, if I remember, 5 voice languages in the platform that's already released.
Yeah.
US English, French, German, Spanish, and Italian. I know we've just internally started testing for release 7 new languages. I'll see if I can remember what they are. There's UK English, Brazilian Portuguese, Latin American Spanish, Polish, Swedish, Dutch, and Japanese. So they're all in testing to be released over the next few weeks, depending on test results and the quality assurance process. So that will see us eventually fairly soon expand from 5 languages to 12 languages for the voices. Okay, and then there was a question about the possibility to select a mood for the voice. You might speak, or maybe Andrea, you want to talk about that? I know we're doing a lot of work on that.
Yeah, so I mean, what we are seeing today is just the first step of a longer journey. What you see now is just, let's say, the beginning. So we are starting to walk. We have done a lot of research with our European project, also with all emotion animation, and the things that they are going to come soon in the platform, and we will grow organically so that new takes, you can have multiple moods, you can have multiple emotion, you can have multiple emissions, and try to combine them to create a more, let's say, interesting output. Yeah, absolutely. But this, as you can understand, requires a lot of testing, requires also, let's say, a lot of care on the interface, so that we need to implement it, preserving the fact that the first, let's say, what we call preview screen remains simple. So to have the user be able to really have the best with the less, say, knowledge is something important. What we are building is behind this, what we call the studio. So we are, say, working to implement motion, emission, and then controlling them through time. But this will require, okay, different type of skills to be able to get the best from the platform. But yes, that is definitely in the radar.
Sure. Okay, thank you. There's a question about if the client had a specific voice that they want to use, for example, the CEO, could we clone the voice for the client? Yes, we can do that. As we said earlier, we just have a process around that. We want to make sure that it's done with full permission, that it's done ethically, and we would have to, understand clearly with the client what that's been used for. There have been cases of fraud for people cloning various executive voices and using them to call people, but it is a use case we've heard of. And yes, we have cloned voices. There's already a public podcast here in Italy where we've cloned famous podcaster's voice so he can do an English podcast every week. So cloning is possible. The process is we would get 20 to 30 minutes of high quality audio of the voice of the person you want to clone. And then our team relatively quickly can create a voice model of the clone of that voice, plug it into the platform only for your workspace where it's authorized. And then you can use that as one of the voices within the workspace for the specific client.
Yeah. On this topic, Christina, let me add something. We have no time enough today, but there's a full feature for reporting the usage of each project, each voice. So in case you make a deal with the actor or whatever, so that how many minutes can be delivered of that actor voice on that project in a month, you can easily have reporting, okay? So you have the full control of how many minutes have been produced, which project, which language, and whatever. This is another topic we can go deeper, but definitely the full report is super important. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. There's a couple of people have asked if we're planning to integrate translation in the future. So we do have on our roadmap the integration of machine translation, which will at least give you a machine translation of the transcript. So that would mean that the transcript can be automatically generated from the video and then automatically machine translated to give you your target language. We're still figuring out what the workflow ultimately would look like. Obviously, we've talked to some LSPs who said, you know, to do a proper full translation, they prefer working in their own environment, in their own cat tools, with their own translation memories and terminology. For certain projects, you could, for example, with machine translation integrated into Revoiceit, get your proposed translation, and then within the text editor window that Christina showed within the preview page, make edits to the translation within Revoiceit. So that would be a matter of choice as to where to actually do the translation of the scripts. And then there was one more question. Can we generate the voiceovers without audio or video source files, but had a .srt file with translations? So either Christina or Andrea.
Yeah, we can, as I was mentioning at the beginning, we have a production area. And in that case, you can simply generate the audio content simply starting from text. And so yes, we can.
So that's a straight text to speech without a source audio, just generating the spoken voices from the source text.
Yeah, so
the features are
basically,
the same. No, sorry, Andre, go. And I just wanted to mention that the features are exactly the same that are available into the dubbing area. So pronunciation feature, reading pace, and everything else is the same. Simply, you don't have an audio or video asset to start from.
yeah, so we have been able to create a single environment in which you have the voices that can cooperate and do the dubbing and do the production. Of course, when you're starting from the production and text only, you don't have the media. So you need to have library voices to give voice to the words that has been ingested. But yeah, the environment is basically the same. You don't have the source, you have just the target, but all the controls are meant to be the same, not now, but also for future cases. So when you are becoming familiar with the platform, you can do whatever you need. You can do production, you can do, let's say, production with a clone voice, you can do dubbing with a clone voice according to the type of thing that you have. But the interface has been designed so that the user are comfortable to use one overall suite, let's call it this way. But yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right. While I search for any more questions, Christina, you had a slide with a contact email address, if you would have throw that up. I think I've answered everything that was in the... Yes.
Yeah.
There's one final question I'm not sure I understand. How exact is the platform's audio transcription, and how many languages are applied for this feature? So I know transcription. So the input languages are more than the voice languages. How many input languages are there at the moment, Christina?
15 languages right
15.
now. So
Okay.
we are varying from UK and US English, then French, German, Italian, Iberian Spanish, Latin American Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese. Then we have simplified Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. And then we have Polish, Turkish, and Hindi. So maybe I forgot something, but...
Okay, there was a question in the chat about listening to some Italian examples, but I think you don't have Italian loaded at the moment.
I French and German for the,
okay,
for the demo.
Yeah. Now we obviously have Italian.
Us. Yes,
we're
sure.
in Milano, but if that person wants to drop us a note at info@voiceit.com. Yeah. In fact, any of our attendees, drop us a note at info.voiceit.com, and we'll gladly set up an individual demo with whatever languages you want to hear, and walk through the features in more detail.
Yeah, so let me just add that your feedback is being extremely important. So we want to build something, we want to build something for the industry. So we really need to understand your feedback and all the potential use cases. We have a team of data scientists and software, and of course the team for cooperating and engage with you. So we want to listen carefully to your feedback, since we want to voice the unvoiced. And I'm sure that almost any of you I receive requests and trying to do some budget, whatever, say, well, this is costing too much. Can I have a good thing, but in a quicker time and with a smaller intense budget? Everybody has seen it. Okay, so we are here to listen and to understand and to offer more precise demo, since this is just part of it, and and we have a lot of ideas. Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. So thank you to Gala. Thank you to all of you for attending. We appreciate the questions and the feedback. Please do follow up if you'd like to set up a call or a demo. Send us a note at info.voiceit.com. There was a question, Isabel, about a recording being available. I think there is, but you can.
Yes, of course,
take
as
it
I
over.
said. Yeah, as I said in the beginning, first of all, well done, guys. Very good
Thank you.
presentation, very interesting. And it's the first
Thank you.
time that you guys presented Gala, so well done. Maybe
yeah.
not Porrick, but
Yes.
he's presented already many times, but Christine and Andrea, first of all,
Yeah.
welcome and well done. And of
Thank you,
course,
Isabella.
the Voiceit team will be in Valencia at our annual conference.
Yes.
I think Porrick is also presenting. So please, if you're in the neighborhood or if you're planning to come to Valencia, don't forget to drop by and say hi to the Voiceit team.
Yeah.
And then thank you
Wonderful.
to all the participants for engaging. And when I close the session, you'll see a link that takes you to a post-webinar survey. It takes 10 minutes for you to let us know how you enjoy the presentation. And most importantly for us at Gala, what other topics would you like to see featured? And also whether you'd be interested in presenting a webinar yourself. So guys, it's been a pleasure. Hope to see
Pleasure
you
for
soon.
us.
We'll see you in Valencia in person in any
Oh, yes.
case.
For
Okay.
sure.
Thank you
And,
for everybody. Thank you, everybody. Pleasure
yeah.
to have you here. Yeah.
And for me, I hope to see you all at the Gala event very soon. Bye for now.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Bye-bye.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great evening or Monday or morning.
Exactly.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.